From Korea to Germany. From Alaska to Puerto Rico. All over the world, the United States Army is on the alert to defend our country, you, the American people, against aggression. This is The Big Picture, an official television report to the nation from the United States Army. Now, to show you part of the big picture, here is Sergeant James Mansfield.
Today, The Big Picture brings you the story of the United States 7th Army in the invasion of southern France. We will show you how foot soldiers, American combat infantrymen, broke the back of the Axis by striking from the south. These were the men of the blue badge in action. Then also for you, we have a three-cornered interview between Colonel Quinn and two war correspondents, Mr. Douglas Larson from Scripps Howard and Sergeant Francis Porter of the United States Army, both of whom saw service in Korea. Citing incidents taken from their actual experience, they will discuss for you the real value that press coverage gives a unit in combat. So now, for more about our program, we take you to the office of Colonel William W. Quinn.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This week, the Blue Badge brings you the story of the invasion of southern France. We will see the infantrymen of the 3rd, the 45th, and the 36th Divisions. And later on, we will talk with two noted war correspondents from Korea who will discuss with us the effects of publicity on unit or combat morale. But now, the story of the 7th United States Army.
The historic Bay of Naples was transformed into a huge open-air marshalling area. This vast quantity of mechanized war implements was to be used by the 3rd, 36th, and 45th Divisions, which later were combined to create the 7th Army. All equipment was loaded aboard, and each piece was checked off the loading chart. The men put in charge represented the best Allied military brains. Fresh from their recent victories, the new 7th Army, all seasoned veterans with experience from the Sicilian, Salerno, and Anzio campaigns, marched to the embarkation port. Friendly Red Cross workers gave a warm touch to the send-off. With precision, reflecting the efficient planning of this campaign, the men marched on board in a steady stream. Their faces showed every human emotion. A few of them would soon see action for the first time, but most were veterans of the tough fighting in Africa and Italy. Bulging with their cargoes of men and machines of war, the ships left the harbor to join the convoy being formed offshore. This fleet, assembled off the west coast of Corsica, was made ready for the fight ahead. On board one of the cruisers, General Patch, Vice Admiral Hewitt, and Secretary of the Navy Lemonnier of the French Naval Commission met for a conference. Clustered on the decks of the ships, men attended to last-minute details. Many prayed. A few held aloof, alone with their thoughts. On the night of August 14th, the 1st Special Service Force was put ashore on the beaches of Port Cross and Levant to destroy enemy defenses on both islands. Simultaneously, French commandos landed north of these islands. Heavy bombers attacked vital enemy installations. Dawn was breaking when the huge armada of fighting ships slipped into the assault area without opposition. Each vessel took up her allotted position. Navigators, gunners, and signalmen were alert. Every man had a job to do. The Germans must be routed from their stronghold. Every gun was made ready. The fight was about to begin. Huge Allied bombers winged their way toward Toulon. En route to their objective, no opposition was encountered. For 30 miles from Cannes to Toulon, our air armada patrolled the seas, protecting the Allied convoy. They continued to attack north of the Cavalier area. Throughout the entire operation, anti-aircraft fire was negligible and the Luftwaffe was absent. The 509th Parachute Infantry Battalion was inspected at Polonica Airport. These men were chosen for their intelligence, their strength, their ability and drive. They had been through a tough course of training, taught the art of killing, the art of survival in a strange land, and the quickest way of getting from any given place to another. Hundreds of C-47s and C-54s swept across the southern coast of France. Below could be seen other paratroopers who had spearheaded the invasion the night before. The air was full of parachutes drifting slowly to the ground, carrying hardened American veterans to reinforce the men who had preceded them. Still further inland, the gliders were nosing downward onto the soil of southern France. These landings were made close to Le Mouilly, in the hilly country. Many of the gliders didn't have an easy landing. Paratroopers advanced stealthily, following the course which had been given them. This aerial vanguard was to destroy the enemy defenses and ease the task of their comrades still at sea by keeping the foe from rushing troops to the coast. Swooping down to treetop level are attack planes, strafed Nazi gun batteries, troops, and supply trains with telling effect. In the calm of a summer morning, these bombers rained destruction, while the Allied warships were steaming along the French coast within range of enemy batteries. As the dark of the night melted into dawn, the faint outline of other ships could be detected. Tense and alert, the men waited at their battle stations.